and we do some good stuff, which I think customers recognize and reward. But we're sitting at about 86% brand equity. I think the nearest is probably 40-something% or 50%.
That's right.
Maybe.
It's pretty dramatic.
So it's quite. NPS is currently at about 50%. But we need to keep working on that. And the two big issues for us on an NPS Net Promoter Score is network quality.
Yes.
And of course, we've got a plan. So it is about getting the spectrum. It is about putting in building coverage, because a lot of the drop calls you tend to get is actually indoors. And we've got an accelerated rollout program for the network over the next 3 years.
Excellent. So we're addressing that issue, because I think it's a good challenge to have, right? Because it's telling you you're busy on your network.
It is a good challenge. It's a capacity problem. But at least we know what the problem is, and we know what the fix is, and we've got a plan and we've got the cash to fix it.
Now, looking at the ARPU number, only voice ARPU had showed a slight half-year on half-year decrease, but everything else was up very strongly, I thought.
Yes, it was.
When I looked at the graph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Particularly pleased with data, actually.
Yes. I'm going to come down. So, I mean, voice obviously is still performing well, but of declining importance in the business.
Yeah.
Right. If I could go to the other revenue streams, obviously everyone's very excited about mobile data, this information century, this information revolution. You spoke about 3.1 million smartphones on your network.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, are we going to see an exponential increase in that smartphone usage now that we're below $100 per phone?
There's going to be a ceiling, of course, because some of our low-income customers will never be able to afford 40, even when it comes down to $30. It's not going to happen. However, what we are seeing is because there's a cascade.
Yes.
So when you buy a new smartphone, then you hand the phone down.
Ah, that's interesting.
And so that's how I think we'll start to see that deep penetration. It's not new purchases for the low income. It'll be when the S5 comes or the iPhone 5 or the 6 or whatever, then you simply hand your phone.
Because I was always wondering, if you haven't experienced a sort of super highway top of the range vehicle, you don't know what it is like.
Yes.
So that must be a challenge, right? Because if your internet experience is, not a good one, you don't exactly know what a good one is.
And when you find that out, so when we move customers off a feature phone, not an ordinary phone, off a feature phone to a smartphone, ARPU increases, the average revenue per user for that particular user increases by an average of 182%.
Wow. So that's a sweet spot for you as people transfer.
Which is why we're putting so much focus on smartphone penetration.
Understood. Now, if I can just talk about mobile data, you've seen this big increase, 52.94%. It's a standout amongst all the different segments of the business. Is that a sustainable trajectory?
We think it's sustainable, and we think we can do better, actually. I don't want to give guidance on that one now, but it is honestly a little bit better than we thought. And we think that there's more that we gain from it. We've looked at some of our friends and family.
Yes.
So when we look at what's happening in Vodacom, for example, or we look at what's happening in Vodafone, there's quite a lot of
synergy
practice, a shared practice now. And we're learning quite a lot from them, and vice versa. This is why you've seen this kind of 53% uplift, which is higher than last year. I mean, last year I think it was 43%, something like that.
Yeah.
So we think that this is the big potential. One of the questions that people tend to ask is they say, M-Pesa is becoming such a big part of your business, it's now representing 20%. The fact is that data is actually more margin rich than M-Pesa.
Yes.
It is now 6.5 billion shillings worth of revenue.
Yes.
And it's now growing faster than M-Pesa.
Right.
So, M-Pesa's still got a way to go, but it says that, we've got quite a lot of eggs in this particular basket.
So just to now jump to M-Pesa, if we look at M-Pesa, that's more than double mobile data revenue as it is now, but obviously the data curve is much steeper. But M-Pesa revenue, 15.59 billion. Congratulations. It's a big piece of the pie now. and it grew 24.72%. So a lot of growth going
Still
on
strong.
there.
Still
I
strong.
mean, there's been a lot of noise, obviously, and I think you were asked a couple of questions which you batted away extremely well, I thought. And I think that's the stock market has got a little bit obsessed with all of this, of the mobile money challenge that might be coming. You were saying that, cash transactions constitute, I think, 4%, did you say?
94%.
94%. So that is the market that you can address.
Right. Absolutely right.
Yeah. So do you feel optimistic about where M-Pesa goes from here? You were mentioning
Very
the card,
optimistic.
you were mentioning a couple of other things.
Very optimistic. You see that the transport sector is moving towards cashless. You see county revenue collection is moving towards cashless. You even see dispersal of funds from central and county government moving cashless. You talk to Nairobi County, they want to collect their fees, their hawkers' fees, by M-Pesa. So the market is potentially very, very big.
Okay. And if I can go to, I saw some research saying that, messaging revenues were collapsing, that the number of messages being sent because of these new applications like WhatsApp, I think it was a generic report, it didn't break down. But I mean, you've pulled off a 12.91% increase in messaging revenue. What do you put that down to?
So let me just contextualize that a bit and say that messaging growth is still there. It's not going to be there forever, obviously, because you do have things like WhatsApp, and whatever the replacement for WhatsApp will be in time. And WhatsApp is actually quite a feature-rich product.
Yes.
You can send videos, you can send stills, you can send voice. So as a substitute for M-Pesa, as a substitute for SMS, it's a fantastic substitute, of course. The problem is you need a smartphone.
Yeah.
Right? And we don't have enough smartphone penetration for that to happen. So people still need to send SMSs. But the second element to look at is what's the pricing on SMS? And we've priced this in what we think is a bit of a smart way.
Yes.
So it's actually very cost effective.
Yeah.
I
wrote about this one. I described you as a yield enhancer because you seem to have a very good feel of price points and encouraging take-up.
So, an SMS costs a shilling.
Yes,
right? Today.
Yes.
But actually, you can buy bundles. So you can buy a 200 bundle or you can buy 500 bundles. But interestingly, you can also buy a 2 SMS bundle.
Yes.
And you think, who wants to buy that? A lot of people buy 2 SMSs, 6 SMSs.
Yes.
So that bundling is kind of worked.
So it's slicing and dicing quite fine, right?
Yeah.
I can see I'm being told to hurry up here, but I want to touch on a couple of other things. Earnings per share up big. I mean, 37 cents a share from 28, up 32.14%. Free cash flow, you gave strong guidance there as well. So in terms of the forecast for the full year, and these very juicy dividend increases that shareholders have gotten used to, of which a lot of them are our friends. What is the takeaway from this? I mean, this is surely a year-on-year dividend increase.
Well, the dividend decision comes at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So we give guidance on the free cash, and what we've done is we said we'll hold the guidance, we'll hold the number the same.
Yes.
But of course, what that means is that that is how much we'll have free after we've paid for this year's worth of the security project. In other words, if we didn't have the security project, the guidance would have been bigger. But we do have to pay for some of it this year.
And the security project, is there a commercial dynamic to it, or is it more a thing where you're supporting the government in what is clearly a situation where it needs a lot of support at the moment, given the recent events that we've seen?
It's more of the latter.
Yeah.
It's more of supporting government, and this afternoon we talked about the support we were putting into Capetto, because they don't, they can't communicate. They don't have any network there. But the benefit for us, because it's not entirely altruistic.
Yes.
The benefit for us is that we do get access to the 800 spectrum, so we can start to roll out LTE. But that's not free. We're paying $75 million for that. So.
If I might leave you with one final thing, this morning we were at the KCB sustainability function. You've reached out tremendously. You speak of this new age of collaboration. and a sort of a different approach to business. Can I ask you for some final comments about that philosophy? Because I think it's quite important and quite unique. In my opinion, a lot of organizations see it as a zero-sum game, sort of scarcity idea. You seem to see it very, very differently. How would you characterize your philosophy in this area?
I think the world has just got too complex to try and do stuff on your own. We don't know anything about banking, and KCB and CBA don't know anything about telecommunications. So, but when you put these two things together, the 1 + 1 usually equals something greater than 3. Actually.
Yes.
You have to do it with other people. I mean, I can't see how you do it any other way. Whether it is a banking type product or a medical type product or an insurance type product, you have to work in partnership. And so the challenge for us as businesses these days is learning how to work in partnership, because that's actually not easy. It's easy to say,
yes,
I'm in partnership,
but then making it happen
but actually collaborating is actually quite tough. Getting the teams to collaborate. It's all well and good, 2 CEOs saying, let's go do it.
Yes.
It's quite a different thing when you start to run down the organization.
What's the next big thing for you?
We have lots of nice things. I can't remember what happened.
I think someone was talking about a card in there, and you sort of semi-confirmed that. I mean, are there lots? Is there a pipeline of innovation?
Yeah, there's
That's what I thought.
Innovation. Absolutely. And actually, we have also announced recently that we will have an angel fund to help small startup companies get themselves going. And it's only by doing that kind of thing, that kind of support, that you start to get some of these innovations, which will start small.
Yes.
You take M-Pesa. M-Pesa started small, and is now servicing more than 100,000 customers.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And what about media? I mean, there seems to be a disruptive moment in the media world at the same time. Like, is there something that we can look forward to coming from you there?
Yeah, I think you can look forward to us working more with content partners and delivering content, because that's a natural thing for us to do. We haven't kind of shaped that just yet, but we'll come back and talk again. I think certainly before the full year results, within the next few months, we'll be able to talk about some of that stuff.
Excellent. Bob, well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The air to